Good morning, Nzansi Minds. If you find this video helpful, please take a look at our Facebook page, Patreon, Instagram, or TikTok at Nzansi Minds to find even more helpful goodies. Good morning, Nzansi Minds. If you find this video helpful, please take a look at our Facebook page, Patreon, Instagram, or TikTok at Nzansi Minds to find even more helpful goodies. Today we're going to be having a look at English Home Language Paper 1, and we're going to do a breakdown of the basic format of this paper. We're going to have a look at the action words or the question words that are being asked of us in this paper, and we're going to have a look and see how we should be answering these sorts of questions. All right, so your paper should look something like the one on the right. You have a total of 2 hours to complete this paper. The mark allocation is out of 70, and there are 3 sections that we need to prepare for. Section A is a comprehension. Section B is our summary, and Section C is language and context. This is further broken down into advertisement, cartoon analysis, and an editing and language and context portion of our exam paper. All right, so some of the most common mistakes that I've noticed or seen in exam papers is that students are not properly identifying what is being asked of them in the question words, right? And then they misunderstand what's being asked and they might answer the question completely incorrectly, or they might answer it and it has nothing to do with actually what's being asked. So that's why we're going to have a look at these question words today, and we're going to see how we should tackle them. You should have learned about these words in life orientation already, but it's also good to revise and go over them again. First additional language students, this information is also very helpful for you and your exam paper, so stick around please. Okay, so our lower order questions, these are ones that represent a very small amount of our exam paper, so don't pay too much attention on it. Or don't focus too much on it. But basically, these are question words that ask us to name or list or give, state, identify, describe, or quote something. So the question does not want us to give our own input or advice or suggestions into this. We purely need to find information that comes from the comprehension and put this into our answer. So they don't want any of our own opinions or thoughts or critical analysis on anything. These are very basic questions. These are some of the examples that are found from past papers that represent some of these questions. I'm not 100% sure about account 4 here. This does not look correct, but let's have a look at a few of them anyways. So the first one here says, give 2 reasons for teenagers' desire to conform. So this is immediately what they want us to do. They want us to give. So we need to find this information from our comprehensive passage. And what do they want us to give? They want us to give us 2 reasons for teenagers' desire to conform. So this means we have to understand what the word conform means. There are going to be some words that you might not understand or that you might not know. You've maybe never come across them, but we'll have to look at the whole comprehension and look at the word in the context of the comprehension and infer or kind of figure out what they're trying to ask of us here. I'm going to skip the second one here and we're going to go straight down to identify. So it says identify 2 ways in which the cartoonist shows the boy's annoyance. I think this comes from the portion of the question paper that deals with cartoons. So identify 2 ways in which the cartoonist shows the boy's annoyance. So this is dealing with the techniques or so when they say the boy's annoyance, so we're looking at maybe perhaps any facial expressions or any hand gestures or maybe the body language of the boy. Obviously, we don't have the question paper in front of us, so we can't see exactly, but I just wanted you to see the question words. So what I would do if I was you is I would go and highlight or underline the key word. So identify, this means, okay, right, so they want us to look at the actual information given in the question paper. In this case, we would look at the cartoon and the cartoon strip and maybe the boy's face or the boy's gestures and things like that to find how the cartoonist is showing us that the boy is annoyed. And here again, 2. They want 2 ways in which this is shown. And also look at your mark allocation on the side here. Very important when we're answering these questions. Let's have a look at the next one. What does the writer mean by when the creative spirit stirs? So this is something that they purely want you to break down what the writer is saying. So you have to infer, or you have to try and figure out what they're saying based on what's here. So let's look at it word by word. When the creative spirit stirs. So stirring up something, you bring something to life, the creative spirit. Again, we have to look at this question in the context of the whole entire passage. You can't just look at this question in isolation, but this is a very very easy, very basic question that's being asked of us. They want us to they don't want us to give any new information. They want us to find what is actually happening, or explain what what is these words mean from the context of the comprehension. So we're not putting in any of our own thoughts or opinions, just purely breaking down what the writer is saying when they say this, and what this means, what these words mean. Yeah, not saying, oh, maybe perhaps he's critically commenting on the creative juices that are flowing through the consciousness of younger minds. That's not really what they're asking us to do here. Okay, so again, stick to what is being asked here. Okay, so this is, why has the writer referred to the creative spirit as an elusive muse? So here it's also kind of asking us the meaning of these words. So we have to break down the word creative spirit and then elusive muse. So we have to try and figure out what those words mean in the context of the comprehension passage. All right, so what is a creative spirit and what is an elusive muse? And then we can have a look and see what that mark allocation is again. Something that is elusive, it evades, it hides, it's maybe a bit sneaky or a bit sly. And what is a muse? A muse is usually something that gives you inspiration. It can be a person, it can be an object. It's something that gives you get your creative juices flowing. Right. So when it says, why has the writer referred to the creative spirit as an elusive muse? So what do we think the intention of the writer is there? Okay. Right, lovely. Let's have a look at our second questions. These are also some of our lower order questions, but they talk about understanding and applying as well. So they want us to explain, they want us to discuss, they want us to summarize, maybe comment on or compare something. When they're asking us to explain something, so we're giving the details of something, we're describing it, and we're making it understandable. So kind of imagine that you're speaking to an alien. I'm sure you've heard this analogy before, or maybe speaking to someone who doesn't really understand the language. So we have to make it very obvious. It's always great to give examples from the passage that we're talking about. Discuss or critically discuss. So we're giving our own thoughts and supporting our opinions and our conclusions. So this is where we can start taking making a point or making examples or analyzing the question properly. But it's important, if we're doing something like discussing or critically discussing, to not really sit on the fence of something, or not to just explain both sides and then not come to a conclusion. We need to come to a conclusion and decide on something. And then there's summarize, so we're writing down the main points, and these shouldn't really have much detail. They should just be a very brief account of whatever it is that we're reading. But usually this question doesn't come up very often in question paper 1. We will see this in the summary section, and then we'll explain more about that in another video. Okay, so let's look at the next one, comment on. So this is saying we need to give our opinion about something, and we need to put it into our own words. We need to support our answers with evidence from the passage, right? So we're supporting the information that we're giving. So if I say the sky is blue, why do I think the sky is blue? In the comprehension online, blah, 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 the writer has explained that the sky looks as blue as the dancing crystal, or whatever it is that they're saying in our comprehension passage. Okay, and then let's have a look at the next one, compare. So this is looking at two or more things. We're identifying either similarities or differences, or similarities and differences, and we have to see how they're the same and how they're different, right? So we want to focus more on similarities rather than just the differences between things, especially when it says compare. So there's comparing and then there's contrasting. Those do have slightly different connotations and slightly different things that they want us to focus on here. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples, again taken from past papers from the last 3 or 4 years. And it says here, explain, well, let me get my pen out. Explain why the writer refers to the episode of Twilight Zone in paragraph 1. So then it's asking us to explain something. So there's our question word. Explain in your own words the argument the writer presents in paragraph 4. Again, we don't have any context for any of these questions here. I've literally just taken the question out of various different papers and then put them into this PowerPoint for us here. But we're mainly looking at identifying those question words here. Yeah, if you want like a full breakdown of what these how to answer these questions, you can definitely have a look at the memorandum that's given on the, I think it's the Education Department's website. So I will give a link to it in the description box below so that we can have a look at if you want some more in-detailed answers to these questions. But here I'm just basically showing you how to identify the question words and what the examiner is asking us to look for. So it says explain, and here very important, it says in your own words. So here they definitely want us to not just take things word for word from paragraph 4. We have to change it up and make it into our own words. Don't try change it too much, because the person is marking your question paper might be a little bit confused if the argument is completely evolved into something else. So try to stick to what the argument is being presented here in paragraph 4. Okay, see, that's also something to take note of as well. If they ask us to look at a specific section of the comprehension, we need to make sure we're only answering questions that deal with that paragraph, not any of the other paragraphs. All right. The next one says, comment on how fake it until you make it contributes to the understanding of the mindset of young people. So here they say comment on. This is very similar to the word discuss. I'm not really sure what I was doing here with my pen, but anyways, how fake it until you make it contributes to the understanding of the mindset of young people. So here they want us to break down this this phrase. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, fake it until you make it. And they want us to they're asking us to explain what this means, and also then, so not just only explaining how, what that phrase means, but also how it contributes to the understanding of the mindset of young people. Again, we don't have the whole comprehension out in front of us, so it's a little bit tricky to dissect and actually answer this question right now, but these are just things that we should be taking note of when we are looking at questions and question words. Okay, so critically discuss the implications of the statement that diversity has been lost, line 33, in the context of paragraph 7. Okay, so again, focus on paragraph 7, focus on the question word, critically discuss. If we go back for a second, here we go. When we are critically discussing something, we are giving our own thoughts and opinions here, and we're supporting this with evidence that's from here they would say, evidence from paragraph 7, or, from that portion of the comprehension. Okay, so critically assess the implications. So what impact does this have on this statement? On the statement diversity has been lost. If you're saying diversity has been lost, what does that mean? And what is this? What's happening because diversity has been lost? What's that implication? What's the effect of diversity having been lost? Okay, again, we don't have the full question paper here in front of us, so we're just rolling with it. Okay, So comment on 2 techniques used by the advertiser to promote the product. Comment on, okay, so 2 techniques. So when we're looking at advertising, this will be a question that comes up a bit later. So 2 techniques. Also have to so see the mark allocation here says 3 marks, right? So we're not just only explaining the 2 techniques. We're also giving a little bit of our own information, right? So anything that asks us to comment, discuss, maybe explain, we do have to give some of our own thoughts and opinions, but very important, using information and evidence that's supported in the text or in the image or the cartoon or whatever it is that you're looking at, right? Okay, lovely. Let's look at one last one. Critically discuss. Same as 1.7 here. Here's our question word. How frame 9 and 10 contribute to humor in this cartoon, right? So this one's a little bit more tricky. So we have to, whenever they ask us to look at frame 1 or 2 or 9 or 10 or whatever frame they're asking us, we have to, it's very important to only look at those frames. So only 9 and only 10. And contribute to humor in this cartoon. So how is humor being created? What kind of humor is it? Is it satire? Is it caricature? Is it a pun? What exactly is the humor being used in these 2 frames? And yes, and how is this enhanced by whatever we're seeing in the frame? Or is there the body language that's contributing to this humor? Is there a sign? Is there a funny face? Again, we don't have the question paper in front of us, but again, important to identify the question words here and to focus on the frame or the information that they're asking of us. Okay, also taking note of the mark allocation here. Okay, and these are some of our high order or a little bit trickier questions when we're looking at these question papers. A lot of words that you'll find are, motivate, trying to mix motivate and justify in one. So motivate or justify, or support your response, suggest a reason. These are not so much questions that you will find, but a lot of what you will find is critically assess, critically evaluate, assess, or evaluate. So I'll focus on those last 2 here. So if you're critically assessing something, it says consider or make an informed judgment about the value, strengths, weaknesses of an argument, claim, or topic. So similar to discussing or explaining something, but they want more. They want a point to be made about what you're saying. Trying to think of an example. I'll come back to that. Okay, so critically evaluate, give your own opinion and all the opinions of others, give evidence to support your evaluation, give an indication of the amount, quality, or value of something, and compare a number of possible views about an issue or problem. Make judgments based on facts. Okay, maybe it'll be easier to have a look if we look at some more examples. So let's look at this first one here. It says, refer to paragraph 9. Do you think that the Ash experiment made a meaningful contribution to the investigation on conformity? Motivate your response. So here, again, they want your own opinion. Here, they directly are. Let me get my pen out again. They want do you think that, right? So there is, did it make a meaningful contribution? What was the contribution to the investigation on conformity? Here's that word conform again in another way. What does that mean to conform? Motivate your response. So they want us to also again focus on paragraph 9. Don't bring paragraph 7 or 4 or 3 into your answer. When you're motivating your response, you need to find information that comes from paragraph 9. Okay, right, so do you think? So this should be a big clue that they want something from you, right? So they want this information to come from you. Not only that, but they also want the information that you're saying to be motivated by what the paragraph is saying. Okay. 10.1, 1.10, excuse me, says critically assess the logic of the boy's statement in frame 4. No, not at all. Keep telling people that. Critically assess, again, when we look at that, we have to, oops, I just went a bit too far here. So you have to consider or make an informed judgment about something. Okay, so again, we will go to frame number 4 and we'll have a look at what the boy is saying in frame number 4. This would probably be for a cartoon type question. And yeah, we'll kind of break those down into the different parts. And then the next one says, does text B support paragraphs 10 and 11 of text A? Provide a critical evaluation in your response here. Critical evaluation. Does text B support paragraphs 10 and 11 of text A? So this will probably be for your comprehension passage. Usually underneath the comprehension passage there is a cartoon. So text B is usually your cartoon and text A is usually your comprehension passage. And so they're saying, what do you see in the cartoon or the image? Does that support what paragraph 10 and 11 is saying? So to go back to paragraph 10 and 11 again, and just look and see what they're saying there. Again, we don't have the full picture, but this is just to give you a little bit of an idea of how to tackle these sorts of questions. Okay, refer to frame 3 and 5. This will probably be a cartoon again. Frames, cartoons. Suggest a reason for father's reaction in frame 5 to the boy's request. Request is something being asked. So the boy is obviously asking something in frame 5 and or maybe in a previous frame, and what is the father's reaction? So what is his facial expression? What is he verbally saying? What is his body language? So what does that look like? But why do we think this is? So suggest a reason. So we could infer, or maybe the father was very angry or very livid. Maybe he was shocked or surprised. Why do we think he was shocked or surprised? And we would have to look at his facial expression or his body language or what he is saying. He was very he's livid. You can see his eyebrows are drawn together and he's got a big frown on his forehead. Maybe his mouth is very downturned, or maybe there are some exclamation marks on his response. He's making these very bold statements. Okay, so whatever your reason is, you need to make sure that we are supporting it with some evidence, right? Okay, and the next one says refer to paragraph 4, lines 8 to 12. So I totally blah, 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 taunt abuse victims. And paragraph 5. So we have to look at the lines from the start to the end of paragraph 4 in those lines and paragraph 5. This will probably be your comprehension. Assess the extent to which the writer's viewpoint in paragraph 5 contradicts her sentiments expressed in lines 18 to 20. All right, some big words here, right? So assess. Okay, the extent to which. Right, so we have the writer's viewpoint, so we need to identify the writer's viewpoints. What is the viewpoint of the writer? In paragraph 5, again, focusing on that paragraph, contradicts. Okay, so what does this word mean, contradicts? When you're contradicting something, maybe you are saying one thing, but then you're doing another, or, your actions and what you're saying don't match up, or you're saying that students can only go to the bathroom after class, but then when someone puts up their hand, then maybe that's the rule, and then when someone puts up their hand and says, can I go to the bathroom, then you say, yes, of course you can go to the bathroom. So that your actions are contradicting what you're saying. The rule is one thing, but what you're actually showing is another thing. So that's contradicting. Her sentiments expressed in lines 18 to 20. Okay, so the extent to which, so right, we have to assess, we have to look at the writer's viewpoints in that paragraph. We have to see what is being contradicted here. So maybe she's saying one thing, but she's doing another. or she's saying one thing, but she doesn't want something else to happen. We have to kind of compare those two viewpoints, or those two very opposite statements, maybe, right? So assess, we have to look at it quite in detail. Let's look at the last one. To what extent does text B support the writer's argument in paragraph 7 of text A? So here's another question like 1.11 in the previous question over here. Here it is. It's very similar. So again, we have to look at text B, which is usually your cartoon or your image. And then we have to look at the whole context, or the argument of the writer in paragraph 7 of text A. So that's usual comprehension. And then it says justify your response by making close reference to both texts. All right, so here they are very clear that we need to, in our response, we need to address both of these texts and justify. If you're justifying something, you are supporting. Let's go back to that quickly and have a look here. It says justify, motivate. So you are supporting your argument for your own viewpoint or the viewpoints of another. Again, there's usually no right or wrong answer to these type of questions, but you must give a reason for your opinion based on the information given in the text. Okay, so if you're saying butterflies are beautiful, we have to say what in text A or what in text B makes us think that butterflies are beautiful. Here that says close reference to both texts. So if we were using the butterfly example, you have to say butterflies are beautiful because in text A, blah, 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 text B, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully some of that made sense. All right. Okay, so Nzansi Minds, thank you so much for watching today. Again, if you'd like to support us, you can hit the thumbs up button, or you can type a comment maybe. I might be able to answer it, maybe not. Yeah. And I hope everyone has a fabulous day today.